So hopefully you guys watched the first video explaining what neurographic art is, and this is my example of what's on my mind right now. I just recently visited my parents because my mother is going through a process right now. She's been diagnosed with dementia. And if you guys don't know what that means that her brain is actually shrinking and she's losing memories, and she's just kind of struggling with day-to-day operations. So I'm gonna go ahead and close my eyes and take a black marker and just draw a line, random line that goes around and about and all over my paper, all the time thinking about my challenge, what I'm trying to deal with. It's okay if it goes off the paper. It's okay if it's messy. You don't have to think about it. So the next step is to go ahead and round out your corners. So everywhere your lines intersect, you're going to go ahead and try and make them a little bit rounder, a little softer. And this is what actually mimics the connections in our brains. Now I'm going to go ahead and switch out Sharpies here in a second and went for an ultra fine point Sharpie because honestly it was getting a little bulky when I was trying to make those connections. I wanted a little bit more control on the lines and the shapes that I was making, and it was just getting a little messy. So I've already gone through and made some of the connections here. I'm gonna go and look at my paper and see if I have any lines that do not go all the way to the end of the paper. So if you do have any of those kind of lines, go ahead and extend them out, because really in your brain, it doesn't just stop. They're always going to be connected or to something else, to another part of your brain. And in this case, it connects to the edge of the paper. So if you have any of those extra lines, go ahead and connect those. And then I'm going to go ahead and continue to make sure that I have rounded out all of my corners. After I went through and got most of my corners completed, what I'm going to do next is, after I did my corners, I noticed that some of the lines were not really thick enough to my liking. I wanted to thicken some of them up, so I went ahead and took just the regular fine point Sharpie and went over some of those lines. And then you need to consider what kind of colors you want to use in your artwork. What kind of colors do you associate with what you're feeling right now, with what you're going through, with what challenges you're going through? I went through and picked out some very cool colors because I associate cool colors with sadness. I'm pretty sad with what's going on right now, but I'm also pretty anxious and sometimes a little angry and a little frustrated. So that's why I have chosen some of the reds and the red oranges to add to it. Now in the video that you guys watched, she recommended watercolors or colored pencils because you have a lot more control over adding value to those and making it look almost three-dimensional sometimes. It's easier to control going from light to dark with those media, but I'm in a hotel room, so I don't have that available to me. Basically, I have Sharpies and a couple colored pencils. So I'm going to play around with adding different types of media together. So I'm using Sharpie to kind of color and lay down the base coloring, and then I use a white colored pencil over it to add any kind of highlights or to make a lighter value of said area of color, and that way it's not quite as boring.